That should be happening any moment now. So far, we've had the trunk jettisoned, the slew to deorbit burn attitude, and again, just waiting for that deorbit burn to start.
Hearing 10 seconds until the burn begins. And we do have confirmation that the deorbit burn has begun. This burn is expected to last about 17 minutes. So within the last 10 minutes, Dragon jettisoned its trunk and initiated the deorbit burn just seconds ago. That deorbit burn is now underway. We are expecting about 16 more minutes to remain in that deorbit burn. The burn in all is slated to last about 17 minutes. And for these operations, NASA and SpaceX do closely coordinate with the United States Coast Guard to establish a safety zone to ensure public safety. And of course, for the safety of those involved in the recovery operations, as well as the crew on board the returning spacecraft. Multiple notices are issued to the mariners in advance and during recovery operations, and Coast Guard patrol boats are deployed to discourage boaters from entering the splashdown zones. We do want to stress to the public the need to respect this safety zone. Recovering a spacecraft from the water is a hazardous operation, and any other boats interfering increases risk to the astronauts in the capsule. And the teams are working to recover them from the water and the safety of those that come too close. So for the safety of the crew and your safety, we really do recommend you sit back and watch here as we'll be bringing you the very best possible views of our astronauts' homecoming. And you can see some of those views right now from the recovery vessel, Megan.
Like we mentioned earlier, the deorbit burn is the last time that the 4 forward Draco thrusters will fire. Dragon Freedom has not yet entered Earth's atmosphere. This deorbit burn is what will line the vehicle up and put it on its final trajectory to the landing site off the coast of Jacksonville, Florida. Right now, Kjell, Bob, Jessica, and Samantha are using their screens to keep tabs on the burn duration, which we were able to get a live view of a little bit earlier. Draco thruster firings and trajectory details like entry angle, capsule perigee, and how much distance remaining until the deorbit burn termination. Dragon is flying itself. Again, it's autonomous, so all the crew has to do is stay strapped in their seats and keep tabs on things. With Kjell, Bob, Jessica, and Samantha ready to deorbit and splash down back on Earth, they'll be heading to one of 7 targeted sites supported by SpaceX and NASA. All of these sites are located off the coast of Florida, either in the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic Ocean. Spreading the supported sites across multiple locations helps to maximize the return opportunities for this mission and future crews, lowering the chance that we'll have to wave off due to bad weather.
And earlier today, NASA and SpaceX jointly selected prime and alternate splashdown locations off the coast of Jacksonville, which is our prime today and where the boat is currently staged, and the alternate is Tallahassee, Florida. The selection process works with a lot of different variables, including the space station's orbital trajectory, what landing sites are available and have favorable weather, how much free flight capability Dragon has for the trip home, and the sleep schedule for the returning crew members.
We'll start with calculating daily return options based off of the space station's current orbit and Dragon's capabilities to maneuver and line up for re-entry. The time from undocked to landing at the primary site can vary from less than 6 hours to more than 39 hours. Getting home the quickest comes with some obvious benefits, but we always have to make sure that the crew, if properly rested, is properly rested for dynamic operations, preventing us from scheduling 20-plus hour days for them. Trajectory and ballistics experts provide the daily opportunities that would line up Dragon with 7 landing zones and split them into what we call ascending and descending opportunities.
Dragon uses its Draco thrusters after leaving station to execute a series of altitude-lowering maneuvers and to line up with the selected primary site. It can also change to different alternate sites while in free flight if sudden weather moves in that we'll need to avoid. And weather is something that we're constantly looking at, making the final call to proceed about 2.5 hours before the crew undocks. So for the Crew-4 return, we looked at a number of weather items. Some of the obvious ones are no rain or chance of lightning in the recovery zone, both for the safety of the crew inside the capsule and the recovery teams on the water. We're also looking for wind speeds less than 15 feet per second or about 10 miles per hour and relatively calm seas so we can safely execute recovery operations, which includes landing a helicopter on the recovery ship to fly Kjell, Bob, Jessica, and Samantha back to Florida. Once Dragon began flying free, we had a number of additional checkpoints to either proceed towards the primary site.
Landing in water is simpler, therefore more reliable, and it provides more margin against unlikely parachute.
400 meters.
Copy, 4.
Provides more margin against unlikely parachute issues. We had to learn how to make Dragon waterproof. But once you do, it is a rinse, review, and reuse type of process. And we are just about a minute away from splashdown of the Dragon vehicle back onto planet Earth. And hearing good callouts of the altitude of Dragon.
Freedom's at 200 meters. We're bracing for splashdown.
Copy, brace for splashdown.
And again, that descent rate is as expected here. Pretty soon we should be able to see the view of the ocean come into view as Crew Dragon Freedom with 4 astronauts on board prepares to splash down after spending 170 days in space after launching on April 27th.
Incredible view as the crowd goes wild for Crew-4.
Copy, Freedom, SpaceX to splashdown and mains cut.
Welcome home. Welcome home, Crew-4. Great view watching Dragon splash down back on planet Earth. Now, as you can see on your screen, we have visual confirmation for splashdown of the Dragon spacecraft. Dragon Freedom has returned home, and NASA astronauts Kjell, Bob, Jessica, and
SpaceX Freedom, we are water uprighting and stable 1.
Copy, Freedom. We see stable 1. You are go for 4.800. And on behalf of SpaceX, welcome home. Thanks for flying SpaceX.
And SpaceX from Freedom, thank you for an incredible ride up to orbit and an incredible ride home. Glad to be back.
As you can see, Dragon Freedom has returned home, and NASA astronauts Kjell, Bob, and Jessica, and ESA astronaut Samantha are back.